Hi folks, this is your MWIS Fleeting View looking at the week ahead. Overnight from Tuesday into Wednesday, we have a small centre of low pressure circulating itself across the Irish Sea and bringing some heavy rain into Wales. That will leave some rather wet conditions on the ground into Wednesday daytime, but the worst of that weather system will be fading away and pulling southwards as we head towards dawn on Wednesday. Leftover bits and pieces of rain for the Peak District in Wales, that's soon out of the way. An easterly breeze will be quite brisk for a time. That will drop as the day progresses. Some low cloud across the hills in the morning will lift and break, and many hills and mountains across Britain as a whole will see cloud breaks above higher summits. There is the risk, though, of some showers forming as we head onwards into Wednesday afternoon. From the middle of the day onwards, really, the risk of showers starts to increase over the Highlands, and through the afternoon hours, a scattering of locally heavy showers could just pop up. Very hit and miss in terms of where those exist. Wouldn't rule out even a local thundery burst across more central parts of the Highlands, and drifting gradually westwards onwards into the evening hours. One or two showers locally over northern England and Wales, but a substantially dry picture here through the afternoon. Best of sunshine typically towards the west. Taking the story onwards into Wednesday night and Thursday, we'll have some low cloud coming in from the North Sea to cover many lower and middle elevation hills across eastern regions into Thursday morning. Some highest tops in the Highlands around the Cairngorms could just poke out above that cloud sheet. It will cover eastern hills for a few hours in the morning, thinning and breaking back toward the North Sea coast in the morning hours, and lifting and breaking above many high tops. So for a while that cloud could just drift upslope and then eventually go above the higher mountain tops onwards into Thursday afternoon. One or two local showers possible, but most places likely dry throughout Thursday. The wind will strengthen from the south-southeast ahead of a frontal system approaching over the Atlantic, though, bringing some rain into Ireland by late Thursday, and that will try and make some progress into western Britain through the early part of Friday. Now, how far this front gets on Friday daytime is somewhat uncertain. The risk, though, of some rain across more western coastal regions is there for Friday, and it could just push some patchy rain further eastwards with time during the day as well. A fresh south to southeasterly wind could become quite strong and gusty around some of the higher mountains, particularly near to western coasts, and low cloud will cover some south-facing hills to quite middle or lower elevations in places, especially as rain turns more persistent. Further east and northeast, best chance for staying drier and brighter throughout most or all of Friday. So zooming out to look at the bigger picture, we've got fairly high pressure trying to expand back in and a weakening frontal zone over the country on Saturday. Rather cloudy conditions and some local dampness hanging around. And then just the question as to how much a southwesterly influence comes in through the remainder of the weekend. Fronts over the Atlantic looking like staying broadly out to sea, and pressure is fairly high over us, but just that risk of trying to push some further rain back into western Scotland with time through Sunday. Uncertainty of this, need to watch the charts for a couple of days further forward yet just to judge Sunday's detail, but that risk of some dampness and some low cloud in western Scotland looks to be in the latest forecast modelling. Further south and further east, we're nearer to higher pressure and brighter, drier conditions. Fairly warm and relatively humid feeling air that will be coming up from the southwest throughout the weekend. As we go into next week, it seems as though Atlantic frontal systems will eventually tend to weaken and pressure is likely to be on the higher side, and that will expand further over the country. So some remains of weak fronts for a while, and then higher pressure just expands further in. So a settled outlook toward the end of the month and onwards even into the start of May with high pressure around. Eventually, it could just be that something of an Atlantic front or two comes back in, but high pressure seems to be the story of next week's forecast. Keep up to date with all your local details as we head toward the weekend. You can do that every day on our website. That is your Fleeting View. Thanks for watching.